Accidental Courtesy is a documentary about Daryl Davis, who is a professional piano player. His hobby is making friends with various white supremacists, which is unusual for a black man. Daryl's thing is in-person communication. In an era where we're very into texting and apps and anything to avoid in-person contact, his thing is he meets up with people, sits down face-to-face, and makes himself available. And I think the power of that is something that we've forgotten to some extent. So it made that very clear to me. But then it also made clear to me just the differences, the number of differences of approach we're going to need to affect any kind of change. It's going to take wholesale and retail and everything in between. And I think I hadn't paid as much thought to that previous to this experience. And say, well, Daryl only helps X number of people, you know, he's not doing enough. But I dare say that if he's only helped the number of people we see in the film, it's more than I have and it's more than most people. So, you know, who are we to say that is not a significant difference?
What is something that maybe you would like to talk about the film that maybe people don't ask you about as much during interviews? Anything as far as...
That's a great question, honestly. You get asked the same.
I'm putting you on the spot, though.
Yeah, no, I have to... I mean, I already kind of dipped into a bit in there about music as integration, but you know, I will say we touch in very briefly the incarceration figures and the economic figures. And anyone who believes that we've reached a point where there's enough equality that we don't need to pay attention to these issues anymore should Google them for themselves. They should look at the last census. It's pretty damning.
Film production can be by the numbers when we're doing it. Documentary's a little different.
It's true.
More personal. So was there something that you personally, spiritually got out of this at the end of it once you put it all together?
I'm still very moved by a lot of it. You know, when I watch the film with a group of people, I get choked up, and I did during the editing process, and I still do. I believe very firmly in a lot of what we cover in the film, and when I see Scott and Becky, the woman who raised them together again in that photo, and when I watch him and Daryl, and when I see those girls' mother apologize for ruining their lives, but they came out okay. I mean, every time it affects me, and I think that all the characters in this film, you can trace back their fundamental childhood experiences to where they wound up. The former KKK wizard was abused very seriously by his alcoholic father. And on the flip side, Daryl was raised in a sort of utopian diplomatic school where there was one of every race and everyone was treated the same, and so he believed that to be his reality. And both men, all these years later, as adults, are still living out that reality that was handed them during their formative years. So that's definitely something that this film makes me think about as well. There's this other kind of fourth wall break where, because he's a media figure and because of attention from this film, maybe as a public relations thing this can help even more. Maybe there are people that see this and realize if other people like them have found redemption and found acceptance, that it's possible for them as well. Our website for the film is accidentalcourtesy.com, and you can link to me through that. I think it looks like we're going to get a nice release of some sort, and so I would love for people to check back and sign up for our email, and we'll let you know when you can see it in your city. We're also coming to a bunch of other festivals, so really please do check the website if this is something you're interested in.